Oh, so ugly, that one.
You don't need to have a Mensa login to know that that's not how it works. Are we going to talk about their lewds?
Yeah.
That's what she said.
That's what she fucking said.
It's probably worth us bringing up the concept of the pick-me.
Can't say that. Loser behaviour. It didn't have to be like this.
It didn't.
It didn't have to.
This podcast was created on the lands of the Gumbaynggirr and Wurundjeri peoples. We pay our respects to elders past and present. Always was, always will be. We wanted to give you a heads up that this podcast discusses themes such as domestic violence, coercive control, sexual abuse, and child abuse.
Any similarity to Nicholas Firefly of Queensland, Australia is due to the fact that this podcast is about him. We have reached out to Nicholas to give him the opportunity to come on the podcast and tell his side of the story. However, he declined our offer. The views shared in this podcast are our opinions and interpretations of events, not statements of fact. Descriptions of behaviours and characteristics refer to observed patterns and dynamics, not diagnoses or criminal allegations. We created this podcast because we found ourselves in the unusual position of needing to warn women about a man whose MO is extraordinary. We believe that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, so here is ours.
You're listening to Catch the Dragonfly with Kiki and Jules, a podcast about a lover, a charmer, a farmer, and what happens when you try to con a true crime girlie. Hello, welcome to episode 8 of Catch the Dragonfly. I'm Kiki.
And I'm Jules.
This episode, we're going to introduce you a little better to our double agent. Let's call her Sophie. And we'll also dive back into the timeline.
So we haven't spoken too much about Sophie or our group chat with her during the podcast, but we really need to pay some attention to it because Sophie is quite the character and she has a much longer reaching impact on this story than we first realised.
Absolutely. I mean, when she came into our life, we knew it was going to be like a huge deal, right? We had someone offering to be our fly in the wall inside man on the job, but I mean, she deserves a full episode.
She does. Just a quick recap on how Sophie came to get in touch with us. We had posted a public service announcement in a Facebook group, Sis Are We Dating the Same Guy, warning people that there was a con artist on the prowl looking for new victims. She had seen that post. She knew Dragonfly just through an internet friendship and she reached out to us for information. Naturally, we warned her about what he was really like, being really worried that she was someone who he was grooming to exploit. And she was mortified to hear about what he'd done to women. She said right from the get-go, I'm a really big fan of outing psychopaths. She was really angry about his fake feminism. And so she said she wanted to go undercover. We told her that we were really worried there might be a victim, and she said she wanted to find out.
Yeah, and naturally we were initially a bit apprehensive. I mean, love the idea of having an undercover agent. But, we thought also, okay, so she's going into this. We're able to tell her what's fact, what's fiction. We know that he's going to spin all these lies. But she's going to have going in there with all of this information that we've already told her. We're, letting her know about his bad behaviour.
Violent,
exactly.
Violent, coercive and fraudulent actions.
Exactly. So, as charming as this man is, she was going there with a full armour, to protect her from his lies. So we were like, okay, she's going to be safe. We've got her.
It's right.
Okay.
And it's not like she was some meek little fawn either. She is an international athlete. She was reassuring us she's one of the boys. All of her friends are men. She knows how to handle them. She doesn't take shit from anyone.
Mm-hmm. And she's tough as nails.
She told us a little bit about her conversations that she'd had with Dragonfly already, and she actually pointed out to us that she was really vulnerable when he targeted her. She also said that someone she knew had messaged her saying, hey, I see you're friends with this guy Dragonfly on Facebook. I'm really worried about that. He associates with a known domestic abuser. And Sophie, our undercover agent, was telling us this, and she said, I'm horrified because I actually stood up for him. Even though I didn't know him that well, I just thought he seems like a nice enough guy. So I brushed it off.
He does. He comes across very well. I mean, forget about the horrible photos from last episode. He's very personable. He puts on good face, especially online. I mean, it's his full-time job. That's all he ever does. He'd want to be good at it.
You'd hope so. So Sophie offers Dragonfly some gardening work to keep him on the hook and keep him engaging with her. Him being allergic to work, he doesn't actually take her up on this, despite the dire straits he's in.
That's right. Although he quite often does invite her to come have a look at his palm fronds on the island. And I want to just go back to, like, when they initially started engaging with one another, when she reached out to him, he was saying, yeah, I'm living the island life. I own this place. He told her that he's semi-retired because he gets enough money from his other rental properties. That gets him by, you know. He doesn't really need to work. But obviously, we know that he ended up getting an eviction notice from the island house. And so then he goes from being like, yeah, you know, I'm living the dream to like, yeah, I think I'm going to have to sell the island house. You know, it's like his stories kind of kept on changing. They just tweaked a little bit. Like, he just hadn't told the whole story previously. So he started talking about how it's time to get off the island. You know, it'll send you crazy because it's only alcoholics and private school kids on the island. And that he was selling up his island house.
Which of those categories are his apparent island family members in? Private school kids or alcoholics?
He doesn't clarify.
We're feeling pretty reassured because Sophie is with it. She's sending us some screenshots of stuff he's saying that is incongruent with the personality he built for either of us. And she's saying things like, he's building this personality just for me. Like, she sees him.
Yeah, we're having a giggle. She's having a giggle. She's saying how pathetic he is. Some of her jabs for him were killer. Like, she really tore him to pieces sometimes. She'd make up memes about him. I mean, they met in a Simpsons meme group. So she was making Simpson memes about him and his lies. Because, of course, he's, like, creating this whole storyline for her, right? But we're able to say, no, he doesn't own that house at all. He's not going to get a pretty chunk of change, like he says. Like, no, he doesn't actually own any property. He doesn't have rentals that mean that he can be semi-retired. He is job seeker. You know, no shade, but like, he's lying to you. And she knew all of this.
She was having a bit of fun with it as well. At one point, there was a time where Dragonfly told me that he worked for a manufacturer of leather harnesses. So Sophie told Dragonfly that she had once worked for a manufacturer of bespoke leather harnesses. Like, just such an oddly specific lie. She was having a great time with it.
Absolutely.
But sometimes, even towards the start of this operation, there were some dark times. Sophie's son had to go into hospital, and one of Dragonfly's first questions was whether Sophie had made him sick.
It's such a weird thing to say.
It really bizarre.
Our relationship with Sophie was not just purely getting information out of her. You know, we're not assholes. Of course, we want to hear what she's got to say, like what's going on in her world. She was in a relationship or a situationship with this guy who just seemed really dodgy. He had some real Dragonfly traits of his own.
He really did, didn't he? From the get-go, when she was telling us about him, there were some red flags, but she was saying it's not that serious. They're seeing each other, but they're both still dating other people, so it's no big deal. But really, it started sounding more and more like not only that he was a covert abuser, but that he was misrepresenting major storylines in his life.
Absolutely. And she was far more invested than what she was claiming. I mean, it wasn't long into our conversations with her, not long after her saying, we're super casual. And then all of a sudden she's like, yeah, I convinced him to be my boyfriend, guys.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was short-lived. I think it was about a week it lasted before he broke it off with her. But for that week, she was over the moon.
When it was good, it was great with this guy, but the things she was telling us were becoming more and more worrying. She was telling us about him really putting her down a lot, being super classist and elitist, frankly. And when we would point out that he sounded like a total jerk, she would say things like, well, I'm just taking it as a personal challenge because he's telling me I'm not good enough. It's motivating.
That's concerning, right? Like, especially in this day and age, like, we can do so much better. We're learning more and more. I mean, I think
she actually said, and I guess it's because of how he was treating her and the things that he was saying to her, she actually said that in the past she had pretended to be someone else.
Yeah, that's right.
It's sad for a woman to feel that way in a relationship, but I feel like a lot of women feel that that's expected of them when they're in relationships with abusive men.
Yeah, absolutely. It's expected to like bend and somewhat abandon yourself, because being true to yourself and not bending over for men, it's not looked upon as like being a cool, easygoing girl. You know, you're supposed to go with the flow, be chill.
It also sounded like he might have been kind of future faking her, or like faking having a little bit of money. He was saying things to her like, oh, I used to spoil all of my ex-girlfriends, but you know, I just don't want to have to do that.
Yeah, he also had multiple properties, but, you know, would still occasionally need to borrow money from her.
Yeah, he was apparently having financial troubles and was apparently his bank account was locked and he had to borrow thousands of dollars from her. And she actually said, oh, and I said to him, if I end up needing the money back, are we going to be okay? But thankfully, I didn't end up needing it. Which sounds like she just gave him the money. But she still believes that he's loaded because one time they went and got Indian food takeaway and the bill was like $100 and he tapped his card without hesitation. So he's loaded.
Mate, she should see me after 3 drinks. I'm paying for everything too.
Super yacht. We were feeling really confused, thinking like, why is she like telling us all of this really horrible stuff, but then kind of instantly reframing it, making excuses for this guy.
Yeah, like as soon as she would like slag him off, she would then be coming to his defense when we'd be like, girl, you deserve better.
And she was flipping and flopping about whether or not she wanted to be monogamous with this guy. Apparently they were just seeing each other and still dating others, but she seemed like she was getting upset about the fact that he would date other people.
Or it almost made it sound like he was being sly or sneaky about it, you know?
Yeah.
When they had that also wasn't the dynamic or relationship that she described to us.
It's really hard for us as outsiders to say what was going on, obviously, and we would never say that we could even say what their dynamic was, but we can definitely say that from our perspective in the conversation with her, it was pretty confusing. It is a common characteristic of having a relationship with an abuser is that it is really confusing. There are mismatched feelings all over the place. There are trying to meet expectations and standards that are unfairly being put on you. It really just, the whole thing seemed pretty concerning.
Yeah, absolutely.
At this point, we're thinking she's defending these men's behaviour because they've abused her as some sort of fawning response after being gaslit by them. And we're thinking we can't judge her for that. We've been through the same sort of thing. We'll just keep trying to support her and give our take on what his behaviour looks like from an outside perspective.
But yeah, we did notice, like, I mean, her defense of him was pretty full on. Like, she'd make so many excuses for him. There were so many reasons why he was the way he was. And there were so many reasons why a lot of the men in her life were the way they were. You know, well, they're athletes, they're this, they're that. Like, they can do whatever they want.
That reminds me of the time when she was telling us about a fellow athlete and how she was really upset that he'd faced repercussions for flashing a whole bunch of people. And when we pointed out that that was really problematic sexual behavior and there should be repercussions for that, she started getting into, oh, well, you know, like, I've been drunk and flashed my tits at guys. Like, is that the same thing? Am I a sexual assaulter now? And I kind of went into like, do you know what? I do think it is kind of different in like a patriarchal society where your body is commodified and a sexual thing from a man comes with a baked in level of threat.
Yes, exactly. It can be argued that they're both the same, but if a man flashes me, I'm thinking, is he going to grape me? If a woman flashes me, I'm like, reclamation.
Yeah.
For real, though, I do. Like, it's not the same. It's just not.
Context is everything, but it didn't really seem like a balanced comparison. But that leads us into
The concept of the pick-me. So the concept of the pick-me, it's a woman that builds her identity around validation and acceptance from men. You know, she's not like other girls and she wants to be chosen. You know, it's also like other women are not just, you know, allies or girlfriends. They are competition.
for male attention.
Yeah, validation. And so, like, these women, they have this, like, belief that a man's attention defines their value. The more they get from the male validation, the higher their worth is. And they kind of reject sisterhood and embrace that competition instead. I'm always really wary of girls who don't really have any close girlfriends. I've always felt quite uneasy around them. And I think there's something powerful and really healing in having close female friendships. We have the same experience. Our lived experience going through the world is so different to the male experience. And there's a certain understanding and support without the competition.
That's so much more valuable than what men are giving in terms of validation. We're hearing about a male loneliness epidemic, and a lot of women speaking out about it as saying it's because they felt chronically lonely in their relationships with men. It seems like being picked isn't all it's cracked up to be. And there's a divorce epidemic as well.
It's really not. And at the end of the day, like, a man is going to choose another man over you.
Yeah.
They just will. And, you know, like, I've said this to you before, and this is coming from someone who actually enjoys sex. Sex is great and all, but having a close female friendship, a girlie that really understands you, a girlie that is there for you in your time of need, top tier.
Life-changing.
So much better.
Yeah.
So give that to me any day.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a fucking vibrator, you know? And what's really sad also is, like, the pick-me attitude, it doesn't win anyone's real love or respect, you know? It doesn't actually get them any further in life. It just reinforces the very systems that oppress women. It enforces misogyny and that toxic masculinity. It's not doing any woman any favors.
That's right. And when women are living this male-centered life, they become a danger. If her validation means so much that she will choose a man over the girls, even when there is really high stakes, when there are safety concerns, when it seems like he might be a dodgy guy, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
That's dangerous. And being willing to co-sign for a man, being willing to validate a man, to back him up. We're talking about this now because we know what's going to come down the line with Sophie. We're just trying to butter the bread before we make the sandwich, so to speak. But really, there were those signs at the start that we didn't notice, such as her sticking up for men's really bad behavior and trying to normalize it.
And reason it out. Sometimes men behave badly because they're dickheads.
Yeah. And we don't need to absorb the blame for that.
No, exactly. Maybe they're traumatized. Maybe they had a bad childhood. But there's plenty of people that get through life without taking that shit out on other people.
Yeah.
Quite often, it's self-abandoning behavior
Yeah.
as well. They lose connections not just to other women, but to themselves. When they're centering men, they're not prioritizing themselves either.
Yeah, that's right. And like Sophie said to us, in order to try to meet her situationship's expectations, she pretended to be someone else. By this time, Dragonfly's story was starting to evolve a bit. He must have forgotten that he'd initially told Sophie that he and I broke up because I had stricter COVID precautions than him and he'd gone out and been really reckless. So now he's saying that he used non-monogamy as a front to be sneaky, go around cheating, having secret relationships, which is true. He did do that, but I didn't actually know about that until after we'd broken up. So I'm not sure why he would be using that story as the breakup story. Well, I am. It's because he doesn't want to tell the truth. He's allergic. Dragonfly and Sophie's flirting seems to escalate. We're not really sure why she's doing that. It doesn't seem necessary. He's such a yapper anyway. Even when she was stone cold with him, he was still telling her valuable information.
It did escalate, didn't it? It got flirty, which, I mean, we know Dragonfly can't help himself. He is a fucking hornbag. But there were some situations that were a bit uncomfortable. You know, this whole time that he's talking to Sophie, he's also still talking to you and being like, you know, I'm not that guy anymore. I'm telling everyone the truth about me. I mean, we know he's lying about absolutely everything. But also, because we've got in on these conversations with Sophie, we can see the lies in real time that he's telling her. It's like, it really was a very weird place to be in.
Sophie's offering us some insights now that she's been talking to Dragonfly more. And as we mentioned in the last episode, Dragonfly did end up paying me back the $5,000 that he owed me. Right around that time when we were thinking he was going to pay me back, we were talking in our group chat with Sophie, and she must have thought that once I got the money back that I was planning on telling him about our group chat, which I'm thinking, why would I? We're in contact because we're trying to save Belinda from this situation. The money is a side quest. It's less important than Belinda's safety. But she said, I'm worried if you're going to tell him about this group chat, I'm really worried that he might get violent and I'm worried for your safety. And I said to her, you know, I worry for my safety from him as well. He's been extremely threatening towards me in the past. So yeah, all that's going to happen when he gives me the money is that I will now have my money back. There isn't going to be any change in anything going on between me and him, and I wasn't going to tell him about what's going on with this operation.
Yeah, there was no plan of there ever being a gotcha moment.
No.
With the group chat. We never planned on exposing it. It was, you know, hush-hush.
But you can understand the worry because he is such a scary and dangerous guy, and she was really seeing that through her conversation with him and because of what we were able to tell her that we'd found out.
Exactly. She knew everything we knew.
That's right. And then something wild happened. One day I went to check Messenger and I saw that I'd been added to a new group chat. And when I had a look, so had you. It was me, you, Sophie, and another person, Alice, who I'd never heard of before. But it turns out that Sophie, perhaps inspired by what was going on with the three of us, had decided to reach out to her situationship's other partner.
Well, she had apparently gotten really paranoid one night and gone through his phone and found like months-old messages between the two of them.
Yeah, things weren't lining up with the story that she was being told. Through this group chat that we were all in, with Alice telling us stories about this guy as well, it was sounding even more like he was a fraud and a covert abuser.
Absolutely. We heard some really problematic, concerning things from both of them.
That's
actually.
Right. He'd been financially exploitative. He'd abused Alice while she was recovering from cancer. He'd plagiarized her artworks.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
So exploitative.
Yeah. and really taking advantage of people in vulnerable positions.
Yeah.
Like,
again, borrowing thousands of dollars. We were again hearing really concerning stories of abuse, overt abuse. Now, Alice hadn't thought that she was monogamous with this guy so much as that they were seeing each other, but they'd be open about if they were seeing someone else. So for these two women to find out that there was a multiple year overlap in their relations with him was shocking for both of them. It wasn't that long before Sophie came back to us saying that she'd decided to cut off all contact with Alice. She said that she'd just gone crazy.
And started, like, things that she'd been agreeing with Alice on, she was now saying she's making up stories. I've spoken to the partner and he's been able to convince me that she's making up all these stories.
She didn't really want to give too many details, and we decided not to press her because she seemed really stressed out. But it's a case that never sat right with me.
No, it really put a funny feeling in my tummy too. Like, there are a few things that didn't sit well with me with Sophie, to be completely transparent. But yeah, that was really concerning, especially given the situation that she was in with us. If she could just explain away, if she could reason away all of the things that her situationship was doing, they weren't that different to the things that Dragonfly was doing.
They really weren't. And we felt really off that we were hearing these stories going, whoa, these guys are really similar. And yet she would tell us all this concerning stuff and then not want to hear any type of negative reaction. It's almost like she wanted us to engage in normalizing it, explaining it away, but we're allergic to that behavior. We're not explaining anything away for a man.
No. And, had we known sooner everything we'd eventually found out about Dragonfly, there would have been no relation. I mean, there'd been no podcast. There'd be, none of this would have happened.
Yeah.
Because we would have cut and run as quick as we could.
Exactly. And that's what we were trying to do. I'd blocked him, but all of a sudden I've got iMessages coming through from an alternative Gmail account of his. So I'm spreading the message to his victims, hi, here's another email address to block. And meanwhile, Sophie's back to telling us all about how her situationship insulting her is grounding for her and it's healing.
Oh, God. We don't need ego whippings from men.
We really don't.
We don't do that anymore. If they're not elevating us, I'm actually really not interested.
What's the point?
Tell me how wonderful I am. I don't like negging.
Negging is an abuse tactic. It's like normalizing abuse.
It's bullshit.
Things had been escalating and we'd had phone calls with Dragonfly. He'd admitted some really concerning stuff to us. And we decided to reach out to Belinda one more time. Even though we'd tried in the past and she'd politely dismissed us, we thought we have much more concerning information now. We really think she's at risk. We've got to just try one more time. And that's how she ended up calling me. And that phone call, I still actually get heart flutters thinking about it.
Yeah.
I got a phone.
It was heart-wrenching.
When I see my phone ringing and it's her, I'm thinking what is this going to be? Because all I know is that she's received the message and now she's calling. I'm thinking, is she calling just to be leave me alone? I don't want anything to do with you. I'm going to go to the police. I so badly wanted to talk to her. So I answer the phone and she says, Jules, I'm at the ferry terminal. I was about to go and see him and I had a really bad feeling. I was already feeling really sick and it wasn't a good idea. And then I got that message. Oh my God. The timing of that is just, it floored me.
Yeah.
It absolutely floored me. And she told me that she'd had really bad feelings about him, that she was feeling really unwell every time she was around him. It sounded like nervous system overdrive.
Yeah.
And that she was done, that she wasn't going to go and see him, that she was going to cut off contact with him. And, we're thinking, oh my God, that's that. It's done. All of those months of detective work are finally just over.
We did it.
It's finally just over in a few minutes.
The weeks following that first phone call were really, it is a full-on, there was so much emotion. There was telling someone everything about a person that they've trusted and we're still continuing a friendship with, revealing all that information about them, gut-wrenching.
It
It
was-
wasn't that simple though, unfortunately.
It
But
wasn't.
understandably.
It felt like such a relief, but we knew exactly what Dragonfly's like. He doesn't just let someone go when they want to be let go. Even when I knew that he was a complete con artist, a child abuser, a woman basher, he still wanted to try to claw me back in for months on end. And we just knew that this was not going to be the end of the road for Belinda.
Absolutely. And somewhat thankfully, he does have a fairly strict playbook that he does when he tries to reel you back in. Because I was working that day when she called you. So I think I called her the next day and I was like, listen, he's going to try and do X, Y, and Z. He's going to say this to you. He's going to try all these tactics. And I'm like, you're going to think about this and this and this. And you need to just stay true to yourself. Please know that I've been there. Jules has been there. It's always exactly the same. Whatever you need, we're here for you. But he's gonna go to great efforts to try and reel you back in.
Yeah.
Because it's a competition. It's a game for him as well. He doesn't care about people's feelings. He doesn't care that he could potentially destroy this person. While he was scrambling to figure out what his next move was going to be when he was being evicted from the house, he was future faking and making plans with her. He was suggesting that they buy a camper and go traveling around Australia together. And she was legitimately considering this.
So I learned a lot from her in that conversation, including the camper van story and how that originated, because his initial story to her was that I was his crazy ex. I was going to burn all of his belongings, and that he had a camper van and a camper trailer at my place. These do actually exist, by the way, and they belong to me. But he was saying that he owns them, that they're at my place. I think I was going to burn them as well. And he needed to come and get them before I destroyed them, but he couldn't because they weren't operational. And he just needed $5,000 for the repairs. That's what he's telling her. While he's trying very hard to pay me off $5,000 that he owes me. So I think we know where that's going. Now, when that didn't eventuate is when he started saying, let's just buy a camper van. Let's go and live on the road together. Let's go traveling together around the island, around Australia, live the van life and escape.
Yeah.
Which is, he doesn't drive. This is all lies. Him telling these women he's going to drive them around the country. It's a laugh. It is.
Yeah, and he doesn't appreciate the physical toll driving takes on you.
No, he has
He does
no
not
idea.
give a shit. Something else that we found out was that it wasn't the land care ladies that had bought him clothes for the ball. It was Belinda who actually replenished his wardrobe for him.
Because apparently he was never going to see any of his stuff again due to me hovering over it with a lighter.
We all know that the only person who likes lighting fires is the Dragonfly. There will always be a bonfire with a Dragonfly because he likes to burn off any evidence of him being dodgy.
All this time, while he's saying that I'm going to be burning the stuff, all I've done is sort it out because he left it strewn everywhere. You came and helped me for a whole day. It took me many more days to get it all organised, bagged, hung, ready for him to send for.
Yeah. Which he never did.
No, he never did. I also found out in the phone call with Belinda about another career claim, which is that Dragonfly was claiming to be a porn star. He was claiming to be an adult movie actor. Which, if you have seen this man, now we know that the sex industry takes all types. You're going to see all types of people working in the sex industry. That being said, if you have seen this man in a state of undress, it's not something that inspires horny.
Yeah, and a common denominator in most male porn stars is that they can stay hard in front of the camera.
I've heard that this is not a skill Dragonfly possesses.
I'd also love to mention that this adult film star, this guy who has worked in the industry for decades, also once said to our double agent Sophie, you know, if they made ethical porn, I would totally source that instead, which it doesn't, like, they do make ethical porn. You're just not interested in it because you are not ethical, my man.
Right? Like, what is self-admission? You're saying that you create porn and that there's no ethical porn. Like, what kind of porn are you claiming to make, brother? Just to add on to this fantastical claim, not only had Dragonfly told Belinda that he was a porn star, but he was telling her all about how I just couldn't get over him, to the point where apparently I had applied to act in a porn video with him.
Please.
Look, even if I had no other option, like, why would you add something to the equation that's going to detract from the overall piece?
I just want to say also, as a previous sex worker, I have had sex with some really ugly people for money. And it's still a firm no.
Another banger career claim for the Dragonfly. Oh, another one that he told Sophie that he'd done is that he used to be an art therapist.
That's right. He did.
Like, he's just randomly pulled a master's degree out of his
Where
ass.
does he get the time?
Honestly, you'd think he would need to be 80 years old to have all these careers under his belt.
Well, he looks it. All that education has aged him, poor man. Study is very stressful. Knowing that much information is very stressful.
Really weighs you down.
Don't do it, kids.
So what have we got? Tattoo artist, art therapist,
Piercer,
puppeteer, cook, or a chef,
sex worker, leather worker,
inventor,
costume design,
special effects artist, and now porn star.
Seriously. Oh, also multimedia management.
Oh, social media manager.
Yeah. Yeah, he was also doing video editing as well. But, you know, for all of these amazing careers that he's had, he could not pass his forklift license. He just was not getting that.
Belinda wasn't the only one who he was lying to at this time about my history with him. The story with Sophie was evolving once more as well. He'd gone from telling Sophie that he and I broke up because of my COVID precautions to saying that we broke up because he'd cheated on me while we were non-monogamous. He was being sneaky and going behind my back. Now there's a third version of the story, and he's saying to Sophie, you're going to love this. He's saying to Sophie that some of his friends were sending him outfit photos that were mildly lewd. And so I called the cops on him, and apparently the cops agreed to come and take him away because of that.
Well, I mean, we've all seen his photos, like that. He does deserve to be arrested for
for receiving lewds. His friends were sending them. And that I had found that out and therefore called the police to come and remove him. And the cops were like, yep, we'll come and take him away.
Oh, my God, he's so crazy. I really don't know how he thinks the world works. His fictional universe that he makes up is just like, you don't need to have a Mensa login to know that that's not how it works. Right? Like, straight up, man. Like, make it half believable. So insulting. It's actually like some of his lies are actually so insulting to anyone who talks to their intelligence. It's just like, do you really think I'm that dumb?
Yeah.
honestly. I mean, he yaps so much that I think he's just praying that you've fallen asleep.
And it's so easy to zone out because he just goes
It
and
is.
goes and goes.
You have
And
to for self-preservation.
And it's so easy to not go back and verify what he says because he'll tell you all of these things where you go, oh, I should look into that. But it's just snippets of hours long rants. And by the time he finishes talking, it's just a relief that he's stopped talking. You go and do the other stuff in your life. You're not then going
Yes.
on to keep thinking about him.
Yeah, and there's so many questions to ask from that rant that it's like, I don't have the time or capacity to ask this right now. You know? Or he'll talk in like, you know, rapid fire of like, and then this and this and this and this. Like, you just can't quite get in. You need like a mute button to be able to be like, stop. I want, like, can we expand on what do you mean by this?
Let's allow the other person to participate in the conversation.
Why would you want to do that?
When Sophie was telling us this story is when we realised, oh, she's still like really talking to him even though we've achieved our objective. We've figured out what's going on with Belinda and we've successfully warned her. So we again at this time reminded her, well, first of all, he's lying again about what happened, but you know, like, you don't even need to be talking to him if you don't want
You can
to.
abort mission.
Yeah, like, he's horrible. But she was like, no, like, what about if he tries to get someone else? You know, there's no harm in it. She's like, you know, I did know him before this whole thing started, so I don't necessarily want to just now ghost him and stop talking to him. And we're like, well, you know, like, you're an adult. It's your life. She actually kept giving us information from him that was really useful. She was right. Dragonfly lied and told Sophie that Belinda had gotten really drunk because she's such an island alcoholic and she'd called him for support. And he told her, oh, this isn't appropriate, Belinda, for you to be calling me drunk, especially when you have unresolved feelings for me. You need to go to rehab again. Stop doing this to me. It's not right.
The side quest story that he made up for her was so outrageous.
That's right. And
she escaped rehab one time to come and see him.
And while, as we know, everything that comes out of his mouth is a huge lie, this time I actually knew what had happened because I'd been speaking with Belinda, and it was that Dragonfly had called Belinda and been extremely verbally abusive towards her because she had finally realised what was going on and she'd cut off contact with him. So she got off the phone with him and called me for support and told me all about that. She wanted support to cut him off, as we knew he was already messaging from various email addresses and things like that. Blocking him is a really extensive multi-app, multi-email endeavor. So I supported her to do that while we were on the phone. And she also sent him a message saying, leave me alone. I don't want anything to do with you. Dragonfly hates being cut off by Belinda. And he says to Sophie, Belinda sent me another message saying to leave her alone. It's obviously because of Jules's influence. But he's obviously forgetting about all the lies that he's told Sophie. So Sophie goes, wouldn't it be because of that drunken phone call, the really inappropriate one where you put her in her place? Wouldn't that be why she's saying that? But Dragonfly's like, oh, no, it's definitely because of Jules. Why would that be, Dragonfly? Maybe because your lie that you told Sophie was bullshit, so of course that's not the reason why. Sophie started telling us at this time about some stuff that made us kind of tilt our heads a bit, I suppose. She told us about how she'd noticed that her situationship's friend count had gone down by 1 and that she'd looked at his friends list and knew exactly which woman was missing from it. So she was able to ascertain that she had not been blocked by this account and that the person had just deactivated their Facebook. That was quite eye-opening, I would say.
Yeah, definitely a flag of sorts.
Yeah. She confided in Dragonfly about this, and he sent her a message that was so horrible. He purposefully triggered her and prodded her insecurities about her situation, and he sent her such a nasty message that she had a massive panic attack. And that's when we video called her, and we had about a 3-hour video call with her just to support her. You know, we felt horrible for her. He's such a nasty man. We know just how abusive he can be. And we were partially responsible for the fact that she was even talking to him.
Yeah.
And by this time, we'd become really good friends with her. We were talking to her every single day about our entire lives. It wasn't long after that phone call, she actually told us that in the past she had catfished her situationship. So prior, she'd said that she'd pretended to be someone else. And it was only now that she was clarifying that she had fully catfished him.
The lengths.
Which is just, look, I can't understand putting that level of effort in for a man.
Also a man that you're not in a relationship with. You are a man that you're casual with, that you're both saying that you'll see other people. Like, if you don't want to know about the other people that they're seeing, don't dig. Don't then try and make somebody. If you don't want them to see other people, don't make somebody to hurt your own feelings.
Yeah, and if it's an open situation where you're both dating other people, what are you achieving by seeing that he's willing to engage with a catfish profile? Like, isn't that allowed?
Yeah, I don't know. I just also think, like, if you've got issues here, this is not the kind of relationship that you should be having.
If you need to catfish him, you can just leave the relationship.
You're also not catching him out in anything. You're catching him out in the relationship that you have. The relationship that you've agreed on.
Catching him doing what you've agreed to.
Yeah. Her staying on the line with Dragonfly was giving us some extra information. Like, we had no idea what his next move would be, because he had banked on moving back in with you once he paid you back the money. He had not made really many other plans.
No, and his next major plan, Belinda, had just fallen through.
Exactly. We noticed that in the screenshots that she was sharing with us, some of them started getting a bit more flirtatious. And he moved at this point. He did end up moving. He found himself a dilapidated caravan to set up nest in, I suppose. And he was sending her pictures of, you know, him laying on his drop sheet. That was his bed, a plastic drop sheet, saying, why don't you come on over?
I believe, actually, that by the time he was inviting her over, he'd upgraded from the drop sheet to sleeping outside in a hammock in the trees.
I do like a hammock, but...
Same. I mean, I'm partial to a hammock, but not that one. Not the murder shack hammock. And he was referring to this caravan as the murder shack. That's his terminology there.
Yeah.
Said he was getting some fairy lights, plastic drop sheet, sounding terrifying, sounding appropriately terrifying.
Eerie, for sure. Before we did this episode, we obviously refreshed our memory on their messages. And now looking back on those messages, I realise that they're probably a bit disjointed. I don't think that we were seeing the whole conversations that they were having, because they were becoming very flirtatious. And there was even one point where she said, oh, I'm going to flirt with him now. And they started sharing lewds with one another.
And
which we did not encourage.
You know, if you're not wanting that kind of connection with him, there's really no reason that you'd want to solicit these types of photos. We are telling you, like, the reason that we're censoring all of the photos that we put up in the YouTube videos along with these stories is for the viewer's own safety. It's truly a hazard to the vision.
Yeah.
And the psyche.
Yeah. The Dragonfly was also offering to take some lewds for her, you know, as a friend.
He had a use for some mutual photography sessions because he was back on the dating apps. And we're going to put this up on the screen. We've actually got some fresh examples of the Dragonfly's dating app. This is his current one as of today.
Gotcha.
We have done a bit of censoring here again for viewer safety, but this is a very recognizable profile here. So take it in. If you see this man on the apps, he is dangerous. He is a con artist. He is a woman basher, serial rapist. I hate saying rapist. Keep that in mind if you see this dating profile, everyone.
As Missy Elliott would say, run for cover, motherfucker. Also, let's just pay attention to the fact that in his most recent dating profile, not only does he say that he doesn't want kids, he doesn't have any at all.
This is a man who has lent his DNA to 5 children.
That we are aware of.
Just because he's abandoned them doesn't mean he doesn't have them. It also says on his profile that he's a beekeeper.
Which we'll be addressing in another episode.
We will be addressing more thoroughly in another episode, but we can assure you that he is not. It says on his profile that he rarely drinks. I wonder if that's actually true. Usually when he's single, he drinks all the time.
He drinks so much.
He's looking for a long-term relationship, a life partner, humor, kindness, and emotional intelligence.
He also forgot to say housing. Housing, food.
Sex, attention, sympathy,
Totally.
transport.
He said things we can talk about, concerts. He probably wants to tell you how he opened for Idols. He'll want to share his non-existent SoundCloud.
And not to mention his best friend, Amy Taylor of Amel and the Sniffers.
That's right.
You can tell us about when he met Vanilla Ice.
Oh, yeah. Also, there is never going to be an Earthship, my friend.
There's no Earthship.
The Earthship has been coming for years.
Oh.
Years I've been hearing about this Earthship.
Yeah, it was pretty evident to me that he had no idea because I'm also a major Earthship fanatic. And he was saying things to me like he was going to build an Earthship just using sandbags. But, like, the whole thing with Earthships is that you need rammed Earth to create a mass. Like, he doesn't understand it. He's not doing it. And when he tried to do simple stuff at my place on my property, I had to stop him because he didn't even know the concept of getting something plumb and square. Bad.
Do not let this man do work on your house.
He's lost myself and Belinda as housing prospects. He's on the dating apps and he's also trying to butter up Sophie. And do you know what? Another thing that Sophie knew he was doing was lying about her because I was showing her screenshots of his conversation with me and he was saying, oh, Sophie's offered me a room, so I'm all good. But when I showed that to Sophie, Sophie was horrified. She was like, absolutely not. He groomed and impregnated a child. I have teenage children in the house. I would never let this man into my home. That's ridiculous. But honestly, it seems like Dragonfly was the least of Sophie's problems because she was messaging us again about how awfully her situationship was treating her. It sounded really abusive and she was really distraught. And she started saying there must be something really wrong with me that all these men just treat me so badly, like I'm disposable and like I'm nothing and like I'm just so low. And I said to her, as was a common theme in our group chat, I think that these men are being abusive towards you and I think they're doing that because they're abusive men. I don't think it's because of you. And that led to a pretty long conversation. Little did we know that it was going to be our last ever conversation with her. Did we talk enough about how ugly he is?
Yeah, we did. But you know what we haven't mentioned? Pants shitting. There was no pants shitting, and I know it's pretty much assumed at this point that he's shitting his pants. I mean, why else would he have a drop sheet down? It's easier to clean up, especially if you don't have a washing machine or electricity. Just on a side note, I'm on Do Not Disturb, but my computer isn't, and I think...
Oh my God.
Okay, but she's asked me to call her.
Oh my god. At first, that's all she says is that she pretended to be someone else. She told a sanitized version of the story at first, and then a couple months later she admits she catfished him. Yeah, what up?
She really is so sneaky.
She said so. I'm like, what the fuck?
I can't, like, so funny.
How does
So
the story
funny.
change that much?
Who tests
so-
their situationships? Who tests their booty call? What was the other bit? When I was showing my friend this profile today, when he says, I'm a bit of a feral nature boy, I'm currently living in a caravan while I build an earthship, her first response was, way to say that you're homeless, man. Like, ooh, I'm getting like multiple messages from.
Really?
I think so.
Oh my god.
Oh, she wants the tea. She wants the tea, girly pop.
Thanks for listening to Catch the Dragonfly with Kiki and Jules.
Every time you like and share this podcast, a horrible man shits his pants.
Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. If you or someone you know is affected by domestic or family violence, you can call 1-800-RESPECT for free, confidential domestic violence support. That's 1-800-737-732.